Good morning, everybody. We'll just wait a few minutes for a few more participants to join on this webinar, and then we'll get started. I'll say in about 60 seconds. Okay, we have a couple of more participants now. Just wait for another half a minute. We'll start in about 30 seconds. Okay, we'll get started. So good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for attending this webinar. It's quite a unique topic. I'll give you a quick introduction about myself and what we're going to be discussing in the next half an hour. My name is Awwal. I'm the director of a company called Charles Mann Training and Consultancy, as you can see on the screen. We have set up a digital marketing consultancy firm. We do a lot of training programs that revolve around very niche subjects related to digital and how a business can take advantage of online tools, platforms, and technology to enhance, grow, and develop their businesses. The majority of our clients usually are from departments such as marketing, PR, business development, and usually heads of departments or head of facilities that want to learn how to use technology and especially online tools to develop themselves and their brand in a lot more visible manner. I'm originally from the UK, as you can tell from my accent. I'm not a local Malaysian. I moved to Malaysia in 2012. My background is about 15 years worth of work and consultancy in multimedia, so very closely related to digital. When I came to Malaysia in 2012, we found that a lot of businesses were using digital in some form or another, as a minimum maybe a website and as a maximum paid advertising online, but they weren't really taking advantage of strategies in a coherent or a strategic manner, which is what we focus on. One of our most popular offerings in Malaysia and in the region, in Singapore and Indonesia also, is the topic of social media. Social media is something which has become very, very important for businesses. And it's a sad scenario that a lot of businesses and organizations still do not really take advantage of these platforms in an organized or strategic manner, or even something very seriously. So we're going to be looking at 5 reasons or 5 areas where businesses can benefit from social media in various capacities. Half an hour doesn't really do justice to this topic, but we will do our best. I would also like to stress, please stay until the end. It's only another 25 minutes or so. And at the end, I will be asking a question. So there will be a short quiz, just one simple question we would like you to answer. And we will be giving a prize away, which I'm sure you will benefit from, and your organization and company will definitely benefit from too. So please stay tuned till the end and answer the question. And hopefully we'll have one winner today. Okay, we will carry on. The 5 areas or the 5 reasons, just as a summary, can be summarized in these 5 points. So the first area we're covering is the landscape of social media. Second, we're going to be looking at the benefits of social media, the impact that it creates. We're going to be looking at the value of good content, so the kind of content you push out through your social media platforms. We're going to be looking at how you ideally connect with audiences and understanding this concept of two-way communication with an audience. And also the cross-company approach to social media, how it's not just the burden of one person or one department usually, but a variety of different factions in an organization can take advantage and benefit social media. So when we're looking at the landscape of social media, it is very vast. The landscape is broad and it consists of many different types of platforms. In fact, the number of platforms and the number of channels that are available for businesses to take advantage of are so many that it can become confusing for a lot of businesses. But rather than taking this as a confusion, businesses should take advantage and be satisfied of the fact that there is something out there that fulfills a particular need for a business. Whether a business is a B2C business, dealing directly with the public in terms of retail or consumers, or it's a B2B business in manufacturing or wholesaling, there are benefits and beneficial social media platforms that can be taken advantage of. This diagram, believe it or not, is actually a simplified landscape of social media. If you look at more recent diagrams or categorizations of social media, it can look a lot more complex than what you can see here. And as you can see, social media platforms are not just constrained into that very broad category. They are subcategorized into smaller areas that allow businesses to choose exactly what platforms are most suited for its needs. So for example, you have things like sharing platforms, you have discussion platforms, you have blogging and networking, you have live streaming and broadcasting like what we're doing now. There are a lot of different areas that can be covered. The most popular of these areas is social networking. Social networking sites are sites like Facebook, Google+, which unfortunately is being wound down now by Google, MySpace, LinkedIn, and Yammer. And there are many others also. But these are generally the most widely used and widely accepted. Facebook, we all know what it's about. We're on Facebook right now. And it's the primary social media networking platform on the planet. If Facebook was a country, it would actually be the largest country on the planet. It has a population of over 2 billion active users per month, which is massive. And the beauty of Facebook is that the data it provides your business can be taken advantage of in terms of marketing, advertising, and broadcasting. MySpace is something which doesn't really exist anymore. It's not widely used in Malaysia. A lot of Malaysians that are using MySpace have studied abroad and were probably using MySpace 10, 15 years ago and are continually using it today just to keep in contact with people that they know. LinkedIn is a more corporate or a professional setup. So it's a more corporate aligned social networking platform with a focus on business, with a focus on career development, with a focus on presenting a profile of a company and to present companies in a more professional manner. The features of LinkedIn are very similar to Facebook in terms of putting out posts, articles, sharing media, and also creating company profiles that create a representation of the brand online to that specific audience. Yammer is a Microsoft-led platform which is an internal social media platform used by large organizations such as Malaysian Airlines, IBM, Dell, and it allows staff of those large multinational companies to be able to network within the boundary of their company's philosophy or vision. Other than social networking, another area of social media, especially in terms of the landscape of social media, are discussion platforms. Social media open up a new channel in allowing users to connect with brands. So it allows communicating in many different ways like we're doing now through broadcasting. But tools like Skype, Google Hangouts, and TinyChat, and there are others as well. For example, WhatsApp, WeChat, Line, Telegram. These are all communication and discussion platforms, and they all have business elements. So for example, with Skype and with WhatsApp, you can actually create business-specific accounts that allow people to socialize with your brand in a very unique way, and it allows discussions and communication to take place, thereby improving things like communicating and sales and customer services. Barack Obama is a good example of a user of digital technology to his advantage. A lot of experts say that Obama won both of his terms due to his savvy and clever use of social media. And this is an example of Barack Obama using Google Hangouts, which is a discussion platform. It allowed him to connect with an audience, to be able to listen to them, speak to them live. And whether it's live or whether it's been recorded live and then archived and is being accessed after the broadcast, it continually creates this connection with an audience and shows a very positive image for a particular brand, personality or celebrity in terms of their connection with the audience and the relevance. Another area of social media are sharing networks. Sharing networks are usually the types of social media content that encourage virality. So you might have heard of this term, the viral impact, or a viral campaign, or a message that went viral. So this word viral refers to, in medical terms, usually a virus. So when somebody is ill and a virus spreads in an office block or a school, it spreads very, very quickly and is contagious. And in marketing and in social media specifically, viral means the same thing. It means creating content that spreads like a virus. It's contagious. People connect to it in different ways and they spread it as much as possible, and it reaches a very large, wide community. Sharing networks allow viral content and cater for it in a much more efficient manner than other social media platforms. So examples of sharing networks are YouTube, Flickr, Instagram, SlideShare, and Script. YouTube, we all know, YouTube is a platform which shares videos. Flickr is a Yahoo-owned social media platform that allows the sharing of pictures and photographs. Instagram is also for photographs, but it's a lot more mobile specific. So it allows a lot more connected and at-hand access to a particular brand, company, or organization. SlideShare is a sharing platform that allows brands and organizations to share PowerPoints and documents. And that's where the word comes from, slide share. You're sharing your PowerPoint slides. And this is useful, especially for those businesses in sales. Insurance companies, car salesmen usually use it quite a lot to spread content that they're usually presenting through their computer screens beyond an audience that they're meeting with an appointment specifically. So it allows a wider group of people to access your presentations. And then you have Script, which is a platform that allows the sharing of documents, PDFs. So things like your instruction manual for how to use your Blu-ray player or your smart TV, or you might be sharing your company's financial reports. These are usually shared on Script. Another area of the social media landscape, and a very specific kind of category for this, are blogging, microblogging, and publishing platforms. Blogs like Blogger and WordPress allow a company to create a site which is separate from their main website to spread articles and content that could be useful for its audience. For example, iProperty in Malaysia have a website called iproperty.com.my. Now the purpose of iproperty.com.my is for an audience, somebody like me, to be able to search for houses and properties or apartments that are available for sale or available for rent. Now iProperty also has a blog, but it doesn't make sense for them to do the same or to have the same objective on the blog site as on the website. So the blog is more focused on spreading knowledge, advice, tips, and being useful and educational. So it has a particular purpose. And again, blog articles can be shared. So it spreads the knowledge to a wider audience beyond the specific audience that it's targeting. Twitter and Tumblr are microblogging platforms. Twitter is restricted with how many characters you can type. Professionals like to receive tweets because it doesn't waste as much time as something like Facebook, and they get something which is a lot more direct and brief and blunt and to the point. And then you have Wikia. An example of Wikia is Wikipedia. And there are many Wikipedia formatted types of websites that allow encyclopedic and very large reference-based content to be accessed easily. So it's searchable content, and it provides you references and information for educational purposes. And again, brands and companies strive to have a presence on publishing platforms too, which is why a lot of brands are visible as articles on something like Wikipedia. So that's the first kind of benefit for businesses when it comes to social media, which is the social media landscape. The social media landscape is large and it can be subcategorized, and social media platforms can be selected based on the value that it will provide to a business or an organization. Moving on to the second reason why social media should be used by businesses and organizations, which is the benefits of social media. And the benefits are huge. One of the biggest benefits of social media is that it's always on. People are connected all the time. We are walking around with devices in our pockets that allow us to connect to a brand immediately. If it's lunchtime and I want to find out what's on the menu at McDonald's or whether there's a new coffee out at Coffee Bean, I can open up the app, open up a social media platform for that particular brand and find that information immediately. So the content is on all the time and it's immediate, meaning when a brand publishes information, it is available to the end user immediately and quickly. And this is a great value for businesses in terms of spreading or broadcasting information which needs to reach a client or a customer or a consumer very, very quickly. And it can be done easily, efficiently, and without any delay. And every social media platform, when content is published, it will be time-stamped. So consumers will also see when was the last time this particular brand communicated something to me. It's a reason why brands such as Starbucks, for example, update their Facebook pages multiple times a day because they want to maintain visibility with their customer base. Another huge benefit of social media is the ease of content publishing. Content publishing or creating content for your Facebook page, for example, has become a lot easier. So whether you're on a desktop computer, whether you're on a tablet, or whether you're on a mobile device, there's no excuse not to be able to publish some type of content. The devices that we have in our pockets and are at hand with us now allow us to be able to produce content whenever we want as a brand, which is why you have this term you might have heard of called influencers or YouTubers. These are people that represent brands or multiple brands and have an influence with their audience because they are constantly blogging, constantly broadcasting, just like we are doing now with Facebook Live, or they are Instagramming continuously. And brands are taking advantage of that continuous connection with their consumer base by making sure that their content is pushed out as quickly and efficiently as possible. Again, the software available to produce content is very easy to use nowadays also. It requires very minimal training, very minimal knowledge, and they're not very technical at all because they are designed for everyone to be able to access to publish content on their social media platform in the most efficient and high quality manner possible. Another benefit of social media is every piece of content which is pushed out by a brand has the ability to be shared, regardless of whether it's a sharing platform or not. So even discussion platforms like Skype, conversations can be shared or content can be shared. Even with networking platforms such as Facebook, like in this screenshot we're showing YouTube, but regardless of the type of platform, the content can be spread in multiple ways. And every piece of content which is put out there on Facebook or Twitter or YouTube or Instagram will always have options below it that allow the recipient to forward that content on. And this is hugely beneficial to businesses because they might be already connected immediately with their first-hand connections, which are their fans or customers. But what if they want to reach beyond to secondary connections? This sharing of content allows users to be able to share beyond. And again, this relies on quality of content too. For somebody to share content, they have to be impressed by it. So when a brand produces content which is interesting and fun or entertaining, that's when it is pushed out. And this brings us on to looking at another benefit of using social media, which is the value and the appreciation of good content. There are a lot of examples of content that has been spread really, really well. And there are reasons why message spread. A lot of brands are using social media, but they struggle to actually get engagement. So they spend a lot of time creating content, but they're worried that not enough people are liking their Facebook page, they're not getting enough shares of that content, they're not getting enough subscribers to their YouTube channel, and this is usually down to the quality of the content. It's very important to have good quality content. And the reason why messages and content do well is based on a number of different reasons. Primarily, quality. If you produce good quality content, it will be shared and people will talk about it. Likewise, if you have an authority, if you're an authority on your particular area of expertise, whether it's properties, whether it's financial, whether it's retail, You have to expound on that authority as well. Trust is another reason. Is your brand a trustworthy brand? Does it have a good perception amongst its audience? And also, are your messages persuasive? How enthusiastic and excited do you get about your messages? Another reason why messages spread is timing. A lot of events are missed by businesses. We have the usual events, for example, Chinese New Year, we just had Diwali a few days ago, you have Hari Raya, Christmas. These are all events which are in the calendar, and businesses do take their time to send out greetings. But there are other events that can be timed as well. Things that are in popular culture. A new movie release. When Star Wars comes out, for example, themed Star Wars related content can spread more than non-Star Wars themed related content. Sports events like the Olympics or the football World Cup series. These are all events that can be taken advantage of, and content timed with these events does better than other content. Humor and luck are also large factors as well. The content that spreads most is usually entertainment content. When you produce as a brand some content which is going to resonate and connect with an audience, they will spread it more than other types of content. An example of this is a property developer recently during Raya last year. They created a video where they were showing how they cater for puasa with the Malaysian workers and with the laborers and the workers. And that video wasn't marketing the brand, it wasn't selling a product, it wasn't pushing any developments. It was just showing the nature of how they deal with their employees. And that spread a lot because it was incorporating entertainment elements into that particular video. An example of that is this example from Oreo. You might have heard of the Super Bowl in the US. The Super Bowl is the American football final that takes place each year. And the Super Bowl is famous for being the world's most watched live event. So usually around 100 million people watch the Super Bowl live all around the world. It's a huge audience. A lot of people are watching. And this huge number of people are being targeted with advertising as well. So the advertising and marketing done during the Super Bowl is usually premium. It's very, very expensive. A 30-second TV slot during the Super Bowl event will cost anything between 3 to 5 million US dollars for 30 seconds. Now, during the Super Bowl event in 2011, in the last 15 minutes of the game, there was a power failure in the stadium. So all the floodlights went down and the power got disconnected. So there are 100 million people watching this event live, and they have seen that the power has gone down and all the lights have switched off in the stadium. So there was some kind of power failure or a trip of the electricity or some issue with the electrical circuitry. Oreo took advantage of what was happening, and within 5 minutes they sent out a tweet with the Oreo biscuit on a dark background and the caption saying, "You can still dunk in the dark," resonating and connecting in a very clever style and a very clever manner with an audience that is watching the Super Bowl and is seeing that there's been a power cut and everything is in darkness. So they're creating content timed very well, using humor with the public event that they know the audience is probably watching, and connecting it in that way. It's a very smart marketing move. Moving on to the fourth reason, connecting with audiences. One of the biggest reasons why businesses should be using social media is to maintain an efficient, coherent and effective connectivity with their audience base. And to kind of explain this concept, it's important to understand something called the network effect. We all know the telephone. Telephone is an invention we don't know what we would do without. But when it was invented by Alexander Graham Bell, the Scottish inventor, many, many years ago, believe it or not, it took a number of years before it became a product. So even though the invention was fantastic, businesses couldn't really see the value of having a telephone and producing it and manufacturing it and selling it. And it was somebody who came up with this concept of the network effect that encouraged people to start creating and manufacturing telephones. If one person buys a telephone, whether it's for 1 ringgit or 1,000 ringgit, and they connect it and plug it into the wall, it's not really valuable until a second person also buys a telephone and connects it to their wall. Now these two people can connect to each other and speak. So it's not the value of the telephone, it's the value of that connection. And likewise, when 3 other people connect to that network, regardless of the price of the telephone, the value of the network increases. And again, it increases with the more connections that take place. And in social media, it's the same principle. So you as a brand will have multiple connections. Some people you will be connected to directly, some you won't. But it's the value of those connections is what you are aiming for as a brand. So for example, if this brand is connecting to this orange dot here, that is a low value connection because that person is only really connected to a handful of other people. However, if this brand can connect to one person in that dark orange cluster, then it's a lot more valuable because that cluster is a lot heavier with connections. So if one person reacts to some content with this brand, it will be made visible to a wider secondary audience. And therefore your brand reaches beyond what your target is. So the value there is in terms of connectivity and your audience and the value of your audience and understanding that, taking advantage of that. You then have the cross-company approach. So this is the last benefit. And this is to really bring across the concept that not every, it's not just the marketing department in a company which should be involved in social media, but it should be across the board. And I'm going to show a couple of examples of other areas in a business or departments in a business that should be taking advantage of this. And an example of that is a senior team. A lot of times, managers, CEOs, directors, people that are in charge of a company, executives and heads of departments, they usually take a back seat when it comes to social media and they leave it to the younger generation. But it's important, especially in certain occasions, where the senior team needs to be involved to bring across or to broadcast across a more professional or a more high-level type of communication through social media. Citigroup, for example, do this very well. If you're going to be investing thousands of dollars in financial products and services, you don't want some young graduate who's only 20 or 21 years old telling you what's going to happen with your money. But when somebody who's older and more experienced tells you what's going to happen with your investments, you will take it more seriously because it's somebody with more experience and is a senior member in Citigroup. A closer example of this is AirAsia in Malaysia. You might remember a couple of years ago, the AirAsia disaster, the plane traveling from Surabaya to Singapore and it crashed. Now usually AirAsia's social media presence is full on marketing. So it's the marketing team creating content to do with low cost seats, low cost flights, new destinations, holiday packages, very much marketing orientated. But when the disaster happened with AirAsia, you found that the social media content was taken over by Tony Fernandez himself. Because at that period and at that time, people don't want to hear from the marketing team. They want to hear from somebody senior and what they're going to do about this very serious scenario and this particular case. So when the disaster happened, Tony Fernandez took over and his messages were about sympathy, were about their assurances about safety, assurances about the investigation into the matter, etc. So the senior team is an important element of social media also. Furthermore, customer services departments in organizations can take advantage of social media too. So for example, when somebody has a complaint as a customer, social media is a very easy channel for them to log into and make a complaint. So it's important for somebody on the company side to be able to deal with these kind of clients and customers. When somebody complains on social media, the marketing team might not be best equipped to be able to deal with those. So in this example from Tesco, somebody has complained about not receiving the full order of their delivery. So he's saying that Tesco has screwed up the home shopping again because I ordered 6 lamb shacks and I received only 1. And then he complains because he's trying to phone and nobody is really dealing with his issue or problem. Tesco respond because they have a dedicated customer services department on social media. They are able to address it quickly before it spirals into a social media crisis or becomes something a lot more negative. They deal with it by arranging for the remaining delivery to be confirmed for that day by 3 p.m., leaving the original complainant not to be able to say anything except thank you and be very impressed with that service. So customer services involvement in social media is relevant and very important. And finally, even HR. There are areas where and occasions when HR needs to be involved. A good example of this is Starbucks. Starbucks has a dedicated section on their Facebook page to advertise vacancies and to advertise jobs and positions available at their various branches. Especially with a brand like Starbucks, which has over 30 million fans globally, for them to pay for advertising for jobs would be secondary. Their primary stop would be their social media. They can easily spread vacancies on their social media platforms, create awareness that they have a position to be filled at a particular branch, and they can get applicants applying from there. And then secondary, they can then pay for other advertising. And obviously you then have the marketing team. The marketing team is very much focused on pushing out messages that are related to sales, offers, promotions, deals, etc. So those are the 5 areas that we just very quickly gone over in terms of the benefits of social media, whether it's the landscape of social media, whether it's to do with good content, whether it's to do with maintaining connectivity, or whether it's to do with the cross-company approach. All of these have value when it comes to social media, and a lot of businesses are still not aware of exactly how to use social media to maximum benefit and advantage. And usually with our social media specific training courses, we very much focus on the needs of the businesses that attend. We help them identify the various social media platforms, tools and channels available and how they should be utilized. And it's not about selecting these channels, it's also about how do you create the right strategies, and then how do you implement and execute those strategies so that social media can act as a value added to your business. And furthermore, whether it's worthwhile. So after putting all of that effort into social media, how do you actually measure and analyze success, and to see whether certain KPIs are reached and whether certain advantages or benefits have been attained by the brand? And there are many other areas of social media that are covered too. We're at the end of our half-an-hour session. I hope you benefited from these 5 points. It was very quick. We only have half an hour. Usually these 5 points are covered in a lot more detail over a couple of days rather than just half an hour. But I'm sure you get the gist and more in-depth understanding of how important social media is and the various elements and different arms of social media that can be taken advantage of and that actually exist. And there's not much awareness surrounding them or how to take advantage of them. Okay, so we're right at the end. So we're going to do a short quiz. I'm going to ask you a question. And this question, the answer could be anything. So I'll be surprised if somebody gets the exact correct answer, but the winner will be chosen on the person that gets the closest answer. So it's a number or statistic based question. Whoever gets the closest number will win the free gift. And the free gift that I'm offering is that I'm willing to come to your business or organization and give you a free 2-hour session on digital marketing. So anybody in your organization, from the senior team, from marketing, from PR, from the IT department that would like to attend that free session, I would be willing to spend 2 hours at your organization answering any questions and doing a short presentation. And that would be a free gift to whoever answers this particular question most closely. So the question I'm going to ask you: how many views has Sai had for his Gangnam Style video? So we all know what Gangnam Style is, right? Gangnam Style was a famous Korean pop song by Sai, and he actually has a Guinness record for being the most watched YouTube video in history. And there are many parodies, and people took advantage of that trending music video to create their own music videos also. But it's a huge number, and it's an example of how, when viral marketing is done well, how messages can spread far and beyond your intended audience. His intended audience was just K-pop music fans locally in South Korea, and maybe the few that live abroad outside of South Korea also. But it spread beyond his wildest expectations. So what I would like you to do is, I would like you to answer now in the comments, what is the number of views do you think the official Gangnam Style video has had? And the closest correct answer will win. And I'll give you a clue. It is more than 100 million. More than 100 million views. So I'll give you a couple of seconds to answer that. Any guesses? Any guesses made, and then I can give you some clues on whether the answer should be higher or lower. And anything on top of that also. If you have any questions you would like to ask me, I'll be happy to answer them in the next couple of minutes. Okay, thank you very much. I think in that case, we will bring it to an end. Thank you very much for attending and listening. I hope you can appreciate the value of social media a bit more and understand how some of these elements could be integrated or fitted into an overall business strategy at your company or organization. 1 billion. Okay, we've got two correct answers. We've got two answers that are not correct, but they are the same. So both participants or attendees have said 1 billion. I'll give you a clue. It's actually more than 1 billion. So would you like to take another guess so we can have a winner? The answer is actually more than 1 billion. Both of the answers we've received have said 1 billion. But it's actually more than that. So Shifa and Ubi, if you would like to give it another shot. It's actually more than 1 billion. And because both of you have said the correct answer, maybe you can try again. Excellent. Michael is closer with 2 billion. Okay. Okay, excellent. I think Ubi's got that. The answer is actually 3.2 billion. So congratulations, Ubi. She's got the, or you got the answer correct. It's 3.2 billion views. It's a huge, vast number. It's the most watched video in the history of YouTube, and it shows the impact of viral. When something goes viral, regardless of whether you're a fan of that type of music or not, people spread it because everybody is talking about it, everybody's excited about it, and it's something funny and interesting to see and to watch. So people spread that type of content more. And there are many other examples of viral content and things that become fashionable or start to trend. For example, you have things like the Harlem Shake, planking, the mannequin challenge, the ASL challenge, the ice bucket challenge. There are a lot of things that happen all the time on a continuous basis where people start to trend and to make it more popular than it was intended to be. So congratulations, Ubi. 3.2 billion is the correct answer. We'll conclude there. Thank you very much for your time. We've extended slightly and apologies for that. But thank you very much for your attentiveness. And please keep in touch with the Learning Matchmaker for any other follow-up questions you might have or any other queries. And maybe somebody will get in touch with you soon. Thank you very much.